The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Technology. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Joanne Mercier. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Dom.
And Father Cory Stiga. Hi, Father Cory.
How's it going?
Very well, thanks. Folks, quick note just from the StarQuest Network, you might want to check out another show that we do, which is called Raising the Bets. And that's a show that I do with my wife, Melanie, where we talk about family stuff, raising our kids, the bets. See, get the joke? We talk about food, we talk about books and movies, and we usually talk about the gospel reading for the most recent Sunday Mass. This week's episode, we talked a lot about apple season. No, not the one that we're going to talk about today, like real apples. We went apple picking and we made some interesting recipes and that sort of thing. So check it out. You can get it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/bets, and that's spelled BETTS. Okay, so we're talking today about tech. And I want to start out with a little bit of listener feedback from our most recent episode where we talked about buying your own cable modem. And I had Jack and Thomas were here and they were helping me with this. And we got an email from Tom Grellinger who says, before Time Warner Cable was acquired by Charter and rebranded as Spectrum, they had started charging rent for the cable modem. So I naturally bought my own. What was interesting is that I was still subscribed to their home phone service, so I still needed the same device to continue providing phone service. Talk about a backward system.
Mm.
And that's one thing we didn't mention, I should add, was if these bundle services where you have phone, internet, and TV, and having to kind of deal with that with the cable modems. So Tom continues, when I did buy my own, I did buy a surfboard modem, which was DOCSIS 3.0 compatible, and I was receiving a 100/10 tier, which 100 down, 10 up. And he says speed tests were over 115 megabits per second download. So it's possible to get faster than 64 megabits per second on a DOCSIS 3.0, but I would highly discourage anyone from buying a 3.0 modem today. And that's what we said, that go for the 3.1. After the Spectrum rebrand, I had to update from a TWC, Time Warner Charter, Time Warner Cable legacy plan to a new Spectrum plan. My wife insists on having NFL Red Zone. Good for her. And as part of that, the price went down and the speeds went up to 200/10. Wow. My 3.0 modem would not access those speeds. Spectrum does not charge for the modem. It's included in this case, so I did replace it with one of their 3.1 modems, and I've seen download speeds around 210 to 215 most of the time. And he said, I wanted to share those thoughts as not everyone charges for rentals, and a 3.0 modem will likely continue to work for those on 100 megabit per second download plans. So, good point. If your cable company is not charging you for the modem, then there's not a whole lot of reason to upgrade, I guess.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I had DSL, not cable, but I bought the modem when I first moved here to Cascade because I figured in a year I'd have it paid off if you go by the rental. And at that point, one way or the other, I was going to have internet for more than a year here. So,
right, that was our
little did I know.
Yeah,
Starlink was the future, but still, it's just like, right, because there were something like $10 a month or something like that. And it was almost $20 a month or $200 for the modem. It's like, gee, let's do the quick math here. Yeah.
Those were a couple important points we brought up last time. Was the modem rental fees can be expensive. $20 is on the high end from what we had talked about, but so it makes even more sense to buy your own. And the modems are about, you can get a decent 3.1 modem for half of that. So exactly. Totally makes sense. Yeah.
And I have an Orbi system, so I can get a modem router.
Yes.
But right. I've been very careful because I'm on Verizon Fios, and I've heard kind of different stories about, you should keep them separate, or no, you should go ahead and get the one that will do all. So I'm still investigating that. But by the time I finish, I'll have to buy a new Orbi because I'll need to upgrade the system. So maybe I'll just get, I'll wait till then.
We did talk about whether you should get a combo or two separate. And, we were seeing that it might make sense to get the two separate because when you have to upgrade one, that way you're not having to upgrade the whole, everything at once.
Right.
And that sort of thing. So, and it's usually cheaper. The modem is usually cheaper when it's just the modem, and if your Wi-Fi works, then that already. So, that's a good point. Excellent. Well, thank you, Tom, for your feedback. We love getting feedback from listeners with either questions or additional information or suggestions of topics. So we'd love to hear from you. You can send your feedback to technology@sqpn.com. All right, so our big segment today, our big discussion today we're going to talk about Apple's big event on, as we record this on yesterday, this week, and it's their fall phone event. It's the thing they do every year. It's become the standard. California streaming, I got to be honest, as someone not from California, I kind of found the whole rah-rah California thing a little tedious, but whatever.
I have relatives who've lived in California for years, and they embrace the whole entire culture, and I just go, okay.
Yeah. It's like Texas or New York. They do the same thing. Yeah.
Well, it is an interesting choice, though, because this is something that's not just national, but international. And in a lot of places, California doesn't have a great reputation. It's beautiful. It's got beautiful. It's got great, great things to see and do and everything. But politically, at least, it really doesn't have a great reputation. So it's kind of an interesting choice, especially on the day that they were voting to recall their governor.
Right.
Literally the same day.
But also about great timing.
Yeah, but also culturally, because Hollywood is there, and there's some pushback on Hollywood attitudes and that sort of things, and celebrity mindsets and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it is interesting how much they hype the California aspect. That's been a big part of them for the past 5 years. Like before that, it wasn't a big deal, but especially when they started doing all their operating system code names, with California places, they've really embraced this California identity, which is kind of fascinating. Anyway, that's not the thing we're here for, though. We're here to talk about the tech, and let's talk about what they introduced, and start right off the bat with the big ones, which is the iPhone 13. It's not a 12S, so apparently they're moving away from the 12, number and then number S on-off years. But essentially, from my point of view, this kind of was a 12S. These are minor updates. These are not big changes that they've made to the phones. What do you think?
Yeah, but the casing is a little different. So that's usually why we have the S. Usually the casing is the same. This casing is a little bit different.
They made them a little bigger, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's a 13 rather than an S.
That's a good point. The cases will be different and certain accessories. Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't gone over to, just iPhone 2021.
Yeah.
Just because eventually, if they keep this up, we're not that far away from the iPhone 20, the iPhone 25, the iPhone 30. And I can't see Apple doing that because, they've rebadged Mac OS so that they're no longer, it's no longer OS X 11 or OS 11 or whatever. They don't like having big numbers like that.
I think the reason that they haven't gone to a year, like cars, is they continue to sell old models in for years afterward. And if it's 2021, does anyone really want to buy the iPhone 2017? You know what I mean? That's I think that's part of why they haven't changed it. But you're right, they're gonna have to figure out something with iPhone 32. I mean, is that really what they're gonna do, or are we just gonna go to like names, which would make it even more confusing?
Oh, please.
Did Joshua Tree come before the cactus?
No. Since they're using state parks for Mac OS, maybe they'll I don't know, maybe they'll use landmarks like the Tower Building in Los Angeles,
I can't keep the Mac operating system straight between all the Sierras and the mountain lions. Forget it.
Did Coit Tower come before the Hollywood sign? I can never remember that. So let's talk about the phones. So there's still an iPhone 13 mini. So that was a big deal. A lot of people wanted those smaller phones, and so that's still there. There's the iPhone 13 regular or nothing or whatever you want to call it. Then we have the Pro and the Pro Max, and same basic design. Like they didn't change the rounding or the straight edges and that sort of things. We have some new colors. No more green, for example.
Aww.
But we have Starlight, whatever the heck that is. I think it's like a yellow gold thing. Sierra Blue, which I kind of like. I'm not really a baby blue kind of guy, but the Sierra Blue is not really baby blue. It's just a lighter blue. I kind of like it. The notch is a little smaller. It's still there, just 20% smaller, which is not all that big. The phone is the screen sizes are still 5.4 and 6.1. It's about the same size. You mentioned that there was a little different, but it's a little bit bigger battery inside, they said. So a little bit longer battery life. The new A15 chip, which of course I don't know why they say bionic. Like there's not like an A15 non-bionic, so I'm not sure why.
That's true.
Jamie Summers is in there, or Steve Austin is in there, but that's
I was gonna say it's part of the buildup of the new $6 million man.
Deep cut, folks.
Yeah,
deep
really.
cut. One thing I thought was really interesting is they brought the optical image stabilization from the Pro Max throughout the line now. Like all the phones have it, and that's a big deal because that's one of the things I really liked in the iPhone Pro Max 11 was that optical image stabilization, which is really good for low light and for when you're in, a vehicle or something that's not as stable. You get a better photo, more stable photo, and now it's in all the phones, so that's good. And the same prices, $699 to for the Mini, $799 to start for the regular, and no more 64 gig phones. Now it's 128, which. Hallelujah. Because from my point of view, 128 is the minimum these days. Like I wouldn't go for a smaller phone anyway. So, and then all of the phones have this new cinematic mode, which is, I don't know. It's a nice thing. It's not enough to make me run out and buy a phone. And that's kind of the thing. So just talking about that's the Mini and the regular, and then the Pro and the Pro Max, they really pushed the pro photographer, pro videographer aspects of it. The only difference I can find between the Pro and the Pro Max, and I went through the tech list, the only difference now is the size. Pro Max is 6.7 inches screen versus 6.1 inch screen, and thus a bigger battery. But everything else about the Pro and the Pro Max is exactly the same. So what do y'all think of the new phones?
Meh.
Yeah.
I think that's been a common reaction. Like,
yeah.
well, that's nice.
And I'm looking at it. No, the first thing I do is I have an 11. So it's my year to say, do I want to keep it another year and not have to pay anything on this phone? Or do I want to, go ahead and jump for a new one? So I go into Apple and I say, okay, let's put your phone in, put your color in, and 128, by the way, I have a 64.
Yeah.
And I've only used 70% of it.
Okay, you're very different from me.
I am very different. Well, you have kids and I don't.
Yeah, I take a lot of video and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
And then when you go to the carrier, now this could be interesting to some people. If you are a T-Mobile customer, they've got some weird combo going on right now where you can get up to $700 in credit after your trade-in. But if you read it real carefully, you have to change your service plan to Magenta Max. I have 55 plus. Right. And thank you. That works for me. It's a good $70 a month for two phones.
Yeah, they're making it up. The credit they're giving to you, they're making that up in the new plan, right?
Exactly. So all in all, when I put my phone in, I get $340 back on the old phone. So I'm looking at $460 for a new phone if I feel like buying it. That's what people should do before they do anything. Look at your situation and see. I'm looking at, from the situation I'm looking at now, for the features that I'm getting or not getting, I'm sitting here going, I could go one more year. But then my phone drops in price, so I have to be really careful. I try to spend, about between $30 and $40 a month on a new phone if I'm doing the 2-year plan.
Right.
So that's how I look at it. But I don't see anything that's like making me rush to buy it.
So I have a 11 Pro Max, and I love the big phone, but I'm looking. Yeah, I just love all that screen real estate. Now the new Pro Max is bigger, and I'm thinking that might be bigger than I actually really want. I'm not a I don't have big hands, and even that is kind of can be tricky. And I'm thinking if the only difference, the thing that drove me to the Pro Max from the Pro and the 11 was it had actual features that were unique to it over the Pro. But if the only difference is the size and a bigger battery, I may go with the Pro this time. And I did what you did. I looked at the upgrade, and I went with looking at the Apple trade-in, and so went with them. And I could trade it in. I have an Apple card, and I can do the 0% financing, the whole thing over 2 years with 3% back. And I can get $500 for my iPhone Pro Max 11.
That's good.
Goodity. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a reasonable price compared to what I other than. So I'm thinking I may actually go for the 13 Pro this time. And there are features that actually showed up in the 12 plus whatever you get this year that makes me say I kind of like that. I like the MagSafe. I want to replace the holders in my car with MagSafe holders because my wife has a 12 mini. So I'm like, so then we could just replace all those MagSafe holders and all the car holders and some other things like that. I'm thinking, yeah, I think I might go for it this time, but I'm not going to go for the Pro Max. Father Cory, from a Google Pixel owner's perspective, what do you think of the new phones?
I guess we were talking before, and I'm with Joanne, meh. And part of it is I don't see again. I've said this every time we've talked about these events. There's anymore now. The two operating systems are so similar. It's more about what you're familiar with. It's more about what you're invested in. Yep. You guys have put money into apps and devices, like you're talking about the MagSafe adapter and stuff like that. And I put money into the Android infrastructure. And of course, with my phone's a USB-C plug. So as far as charging is concerned, it's not a big deal. But as far as apps and stuff like that, I've spent money on it and continue to spend money on it. And so that's, as far as, is there anything here that says to me, you need to jump over? Well, I'm not a videographer. Right. I take pictures once in a while. It was funny. We're talking about memory space. This is a 128 gig Pixel 4. It's a 2-year-old phone now, and it's half full. So yeah, 64 wouldn't work for me because it'd be full. Right. But it's just I don't see anything here. And I'll be honest, it's not just Apple. It's another thing we talked about before is it's the tech world as a whole. It's Apple, it's the Android devices. I mean, Samsung is doing some interesting things with their folding phones, although I don't know how long, how reliable those are going to be over long term. But the devices are all pretty much the same. And they're just, a little bit faster, a little better battery, a little better camera. A little bit faster, a little better battery, a little bit better camera. And same thing with PCs or whatever. So it's interesting is we're very much in a period of stagnation over the last couple of years with a lot of these technologies. And so, like I said, I don't really see anything that just jumps out at me. Wow, some of the colors are cool, but I always buy black phones anyways. So
I was just going to say, and see if I do anything this year, it would be an upgrade to a Pro because I have a regular iPhone 11 and I'm seeing a couple of things in the Pro. But again, I use my iPad a heck of a lot more. My iPhone is my communication device. Right. My iPad is a work device because I like the bigger screen. So that's the reason. My phone is my phone. If I could get a smaller, I can't see on a smaller phone. This is about as small as I can get. So it's old eyes, know?
Right. Yeah. And I was saying before is, one of the reasons that we didn't see a lot of innovation this year is because of COVID and all the, Apple has been saying we need to get everybody back in the office in order to really work as well as we do it. And maybe that's Apple's culture. They really do need to be in the office in order to get, the really good designs. I don't know. But you're right, Father Cory. There has been a, stagnation. The tech industry might say maturity. Where we've had a plateau, and there's a next big thing that they need to hit that we haven't got there yet. And these folding phones and these new shapes and designs, those might be it, and maybe that's where we're coming. And the funny thing is Samsung and Google and some of these other, and Motorola, they do all of their thinking in public. You know what I mean? They're we're going to put out this phone that, you know, only the highest tech adopters are going to be able to afford to buy, and it's going to be a piece of junk anyway. But we're trying, right? See, look what we're doing.
Yep.
Apple, I'm sure Apple has folding phones in their labs. I'm sure they have these some amazing designs that they're trying to get that can work and can be mass produced, but they're not showing us. And who knows how long it's going to take to make those actually work, or if they ever will. I mean, that's the thing is they don't think in public. Put it that way.
And I'm just not sure that Apple is ready for a foldable phone at this point. Because if it's going to be a foldable phone, then it's going to be something that is, you know, up to their standards. So they're not.
If ever, let's be honest.
Yeah.
If ever,
I mean,
I don't know if they'll
this
ever
could
do
just be
it.
a fad. I still said this years ago, and I still think that the future of our phones is not going to be a candy bar brick sitting in our pockets.
Yeah.
It's going to be something like watch with headset or something like that.
Right.
You know, it's going to be basically Bluetooth, whatever, version 7 or whatever on a watch with a earbud. And that's going to be your phones.
And glasses.
You're not going to be using and glasses,
Okay.
especially for those of us who wear glasses,
Right.
you know, but it's not going to be constantly having this device that you're holding in your hand. It's going to be wearable.
Yeah, I would love to have, and I do have a cellular watch, so I would love to have that as my phone and be done with it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of technology advancing, some people were surprised that the iPhones still have a Lightning connector. Why isn't it USB-C? You know, as we'll talk about in a second, the iPad Mini now has a USB-C connector. You know, the iPads are going there. Why is still Lightning? And I was saying in our Slack channel about this, the problem, it's a twofold problem. It's an installed base and technology roadmap. And what I say about that is USB-C is today technology. Why switch to today technology when Apple is probably planning tomorrow technology? I mean, it's been widely speculated that they want to get rid of of an open port altogether and make the machine, you know, much more impervious to water and sand and all that other stuff. So that future tech is probably not too distant. And keeping in mind, Apple doesn't change its connectors very often. It's been 13 years, and they've had two different kinds of connectors.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to go with something in the future will be something like the smart connector on the iPad, so a contact connector, and then you charge via Qi, you know, the conductive MagSafe coils, that sort of thing. And so why change now? Create all of that. Remember when we switched from the 30 pin to the Lightning, and everyone went, "Oh, all of my dock connectors and all of my cables."
Yeah.
Why do that now and then do it again in just a couple of years if that's what they're planning? So that's my thought is, whereas and people upgrade their iPhones much more often, whereas an iPad you buy today, it makes sense to put USB-C in it because you're not going to buy another iPad for another 4 or 5 years, because that's how people don't buy their iPads very often.
Or longer.
Yeah, or longer. Most people.
Unless you're me.
Yeah, I was going to say most people. Some of us are different.
Yes.
We recognize that.
I think you're probably right that they will eventually try to get away from any kind of connector whatsoever. I think it's kind of funny though, is, you know, the issues of like the MagSafe connectors on, you know, the MacBook Pros are ideal for this kind of setup because they are a sealed thing. You just have the four little pins that are flush to the case, and they got rid of those on the MacBook Pros.
If rumors are to be believed, they're coming back. We should, in fact, we may see them as soon as October, if rumors are to be believed.
Which doesn't surprise me because it's such an easy, simple, even USB-C, which is double-sided. Somehow you end up trying to put it in the wrong way. Well, USB-C can go either way. Somehow it still doesn't fit right the first time.
But the fear is, because I had MagSafe for a long time, now when I have the USB-C and anybody goes near the cord, it's like, get away.
I had that happen.
I don't want it to happen.
I had a child run out of my office and his foot caught the cable and it bent. The cable head bent. Ooh. I now have, and this was a pick of the week a while ago, is a third-party MagSafe, which one end goes into the USB port, USB-C port, and the other end is the USB cable goes into it, and it's a magnetic connector between them. So anybody comes along, it just pops right off. Unfortunately, because it's not Apple, it's not quite as good, and it pops off on its own a little too easily. So I want the MagSafe back.
And talking about connectors for 1 second, I don't know why Apple has gone to 0.5 inches or meters and 2 meters. Where's the ones anymore?
For cables?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have been like, are you kidding me? So it's either the little short guy or the too long guy that I don't need all the time.
I don't buy Apple cables anyway. I usually buy Anchor or a third-party braided. There you go. I've gone through so many cables. I just want a solid, durable cable.
Admittedly, that's the big advantage of USB-C, which I know it's current tech, but it's current tech that has a long future.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not USB-C's just still kind of barely rolling out, more or less. But in the other comment about the induction charging, the however you pronounce it, QI charging,
QI, whoever.
But it can be finicky.
Yes.
My phone supports it, but I really never had good luck with. I have a nice, good sized pad, and I've really never had good luck about getting the phone centered just right on it.
That's the nice thing about the MagSafe is it magnetically pulls it to where it needs to be, kind of like with the watch, the Apple Watch. So, and I'm going to have a pic later on that's related to that, connected to that, so to speak. I mean, at least with the magnets, they can center it much better. Yeah.
Because that is a real concern with these induction chargers. You slap it on there before you go to bed, and if it doesn't center right, your phone doesn't charge.
Can't tell you how often I wake up in the morning and my phone is down to very little charge. Yes, I'm there with you on that. Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, I've had my phone discharge.
Right, turn off.
Yeah, and I don't like. And my watch sometimes if you don't get it on there just right.
That's been happening to me more and more lately, and I'm annoyed by that. I have a little base that it slides into with the cable, and it looks like a little old original Mac, and it for some reason in the last few months, every once in a while I put my watch on it and it tells me I'm not charged, charge me. I'm like, you were on there all night. That is annoying. So the induction charging can be a hassle, and so anyway, let's move on to the other stuff that they announced. Let's talk about the iPhone 8-inch. Oh, I'm sorry, the iPad Mini.
Exactly right.
I mean, if that thing had a cell phone in it, it would be ideal. They have 5G now, so it's really interesting. Anyway, so they introduced new versions of the iPad Nothing and the iPad Mini. iPad Nothing is pretty much the same thing as before. It's just upgraded, upgraded chip, upgraded cameras. Still the same form factor. It's still got a home button. Still uses the first gen Apple Pencil. This is the iPad you give to your kids or your grandma. It is a great, and that's not to sell it short. It is a great base level computing device that is suitable for a lot of people. And so at $329, that's a pretty good deal.
Well, it's funny though. We were talking earlier about our phones, 64 gig not being enough, and yet the base model of the 10.2 is 64 gig,
which is twice what it was before, which was 32. But
you would think you would want more storage on a device like an iPad, because you can use it for more than you might with your phone.
I have a feeling they've done some research into what gets loaded on these, how much space. I'm sure they know how much space gets used on average, and it's probably pretty low on these low end iPads. That's my guess.
I'm thinking they're schools.
Yeah.
A lot of times, so they're being monitored as to what they can have on it, what they can't have on it, and then again, if you're using iCloud as your dumping ground for files, then you really don't need a lot more on there.
Yes. Yeah. But the Mini is the one that got the big upgrade. I mean, the Mini looks like a small iPad Pro now. So it's got that shape, and that's squared off round rects, they call them, on the corners. Smaller bezels, no home button, Touch ID on the sleep wake button, just like the new iPad Air. No Face ID, which is interesting. The screen is a little larger, but I think it's an 8.3 inch screen, but the same overall size. So they've made the bezels smaller, with a 5G cellular option and $500. I know a lot of people for whom the iPad Mini is a great, either like bag or pocket, I'm on the go sort of device. I mean, in the presentation, they made a big deal about doctors and pilots and those sort of people on the go using that.
Yeah, I think that I have a friend who swears by this form size. So she's going to be pleased as punch that she's got a really wonderful upgrade now. I don't know about, see, I still have a problem with FaceTime on an iPad because I think it's awkward. On a phone, it's one thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're driving. I didn't say that. And you need to open it up for, some reason. But
you mean Face ID on an iPad, right?
Yeah, Face ID. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But on an iPad, I'm not so sure. I like being able to, because I always put my thumb on the camera.
Right.
No matter where, how I do it, it's always there.
See, I'll be honest. I would like that. Again, I've got a 6-year-old iPad Air 2 or whatever it is. I can't even remember the exact model. I've had it so long, and I would like that because I use my iPad for giving my homilies. So I'm standing there at the altar. So I've got to pull that, I pull the iPad out and then I got to turn it on, do the thumb ID. Oh, that didn't work. So now I got to punch in the code. It'd be nice if I could just, hit the button to turn it on as I pull it out and look at it. And it logs in like my phone does. That would be such a great feature for me.
And maybe
because then by the time
I've
got the, because then by the time I have the iPad set down, it's already on and ready to go.
Right. That's the thing is, I had the same problem as Joanne did with my iPad because I always hold my iPad in landscape mode. I mean, that's how the keyboard goes on it. But they've set up the camera as if you're always going to use it in portrait mode. Now with a phone, you always naturally hold it in portrait mode. That's just the natural way of holding it to open it. So
I found with my iPad, I do hold it in portrait mode too. That's the thing. I always do.
Right.
Very rarely do I turn it landscape.
My husband has the iPad Air, and the touch on the start button really does work well. So it's, missing the bit, you don't need the home button. It really works on that. So, but then again, folks who work outside or with their hands a lot, who get calluses or cracks in their fingers, that's tough for the Touch ID.
Right.
And no matter where you have it, that's really because my husband works in the garden. So.
Or in the winter when you're wearing gloves, that sort of thing. That was a big thing with the phones, why I like Face ID on the phones and why it was such a hassle when we were wearing masks everywhere.
Yeah.
So, so I love the unlock with the watch on that. So
and yes, I do like Face ID on my phone where I'm driving down the road and I can kind of go to the look over real quick and then
show me the map. So, and then the other big announcement was the new Apple Watch Series 7. It did not have a lot of the rumors about the new form factor and all this sort of stuff. All that was wrong. Cycling features, that's nice for people. I mean, they still are doubling down on the health and fitness stuff like that. So there's new cycling features, a 20% bigger screen area with the same basic size design, which is nice. Bigger interface buttons, which is good. I can't tell you how many times I try to hit that button to stop the timer and keep missing. And a full keyboard, like a flick keyboard on the watch. I don't try to send messages on my phone, but maybe if there's a small tiny keyboard there, that might work. I don't know.
No.
That might be for someone with less sausage fingers than I have.
and I have large fingers as well. So if I have to write anything quickly, I use that little sketch thing. It works fine for me. Or I talk to it and it dictate to it and it's fine. But the thing with the watch, the only reason this would be my year to upgrade watch 2. And I'm looking at it going,
there's no reason.
The one face that goes all the way around is the only thing I'm interested in. Nah, forget it.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
I mean, if you have anything later than a series, 4, I think 4 was
5.
5. Yeah. When they increased the size of the screen the last time, and added some other features like the always on face, that one was the one to if you have anything older than that, upgrade. And in fact, they're still selling the Series 3. Don't buy the Series 3.
No,
just it's not worth it. It is not. It is not. You're gonna be disappointed with it. So yeah.
My friend has my 3, my old 3. And before she goes to Italy to live, I'm trying to convince her to get a new one now.
Right.
So need to get the 6. She needs the fall
detection.
The fall detection as well as the EEG.
So no new health sensors. If they get a glucose monitor on it, I'm buying whatever one they come out with that has a glucose monitor on it. I'm buying that one. So the only other thing that got announced, not at the event but afterward, was that the OS upgrades are coming out on Monday, September 20th. So that'll be interesting. The phones you can order starting the 24th. No, I'm sorry, the 17th. For delivery on the 24th. iPads are available to order now, and the watch, they just said later this fall, so who knows when that'll even be anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I will say one thing, and I don't know if I'm reading this correctly on my iPad because I had the beta.
Mm-hmm.
Today I got, as we were recording this, I got iOS 15, not beta.
Oh.
It's the actual iOS 15. So it must have come out early for the beta adopters.
Okay.
Maybe because of the upgrade we just did.
It could be a gold master too.
It didn't say it, but it also could be because we all just did our phones
because
and
of the
other
security
devices.
Update.
Yep, that's why I'm wondering. Maybe
the iPad
did
didn't have a 14.8 update. I noticed the phones did, but the iPads didn't. So maybe that's what it is. Interesting. And so other things that did not get mentioned, AirPods are no new AirPods. No Macs were mentioned at all, which weren't expected. Was there anything that you were surprised wasn't mentioned or were surprised by? I mean, overall, any other things left to say about this?
Actually, one thing I got surprised was just looking at the list of what's going to be supported by iPad OS, and my old iPad is still on the list.
Yeah.
I'm
really shocked that they've been updating it that long. Now it's the last one on the list, which probably means I won't get 16. But
but
it's still surprising how long Apple really does support some of their devices, even both in Mac OS and iOS and iPad OS. That there's devices that were sold 6 years ago, 7 years ago that they still support.
It tells you how good these chips are in them. I mean, that's the thing.
And I think with the iPads, it is again because of education.
Yeah,
school systems are not going to be able to buy these every 2-3 years.
Right.
So they have to have something in their arsenal that's going to last a good 6 or 7 before a school department again is going to say, all right, let's reinvest.
Yep. Definitely.
And I know with Mac OS especially, that's a concern because, okay, fine, you don't want to support our machines. We can't afford the budget to replace them, but we can afford,
Chromebooks.
Chromebooks or bulk licensing of Microsoft Windows.
Right.
That too.
Yeah.
Because they could get, bulk licensing of just, Microsoft Pro, Windows Pro for what, $50 a copy, if even that.
Yeah.
Under the volume licensing models.
Right.
I mean, so Apple knows that if they say, okay, your 5-year-old MacBooks that you bought, we're not supporting them anymore. Well, that's fine. Microsoft is.
Yeah, that's the thing that's the competition in education. I mean, Apple does not want to lose that again. All right, so I think that's enough to talk about the Apple event. That was a very interesting event. Let's see what's coming the rest of the fall. I think there's more to come, but that's it for now for that. So we do, before we move on, want to take a moment to thank our patrons and make it possible for us to create the secrets of technology, including Justin S., Austin B., Chad B., and Daniel S., and David P. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the secrets of technology and all the shows at StarQuest for our nonprofit mission of exploring the intersection of faith and pop culture. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Let's talk about our headlines. Now, this one was just this week, and I said, we have to talk about this. This is definitely a technology topic. This company called Colossal, it's a new company, wants to recreate the woolly mammoth using DNA editing, gene editing technology, and repopulate the frozen tundra of Siberia, and to recreate the grasslands of the tundra of eons ago, which they say would help the climate change. And how many ways is this a bad idea? What could possibly go wrong? Someone should make a movie about this.
Oh, they did, didn't they?
That's right, they did.
Multiple.
Yes.
So it's apparently they're not really bringing back actual woolly mammoths. They're making elephants and inserting woolly mammoth DNA. So basically creating a kind of new species with woolly mammoth traits.
No. This is all kinds of wrong.
Right. And then because it's a whole new species, essentially, they're going to do this. They're not going to impregnate elephants. They're creating artificial wombs, which has never been really done before, in order to. And a elephant gestation is 2 years, so they have to be able to sustain the fetal mammoth for 2 years. Now, they'll be raised without, adults, right? Elephants are highly social animals. They learn behavior from their mothers. And in fact, they found that elephants who are raised orphans get really wild and crazy. And so what will happen to these? Let's give birth to them, create a herd, and then release them into the wild. What a great idea.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. If there's anything, at least they're, be out in Siberia where there's nothing and nobody.
True.
Right.
But somebody here has a God complex because they are fooling around. I mean, I understand from a DNA point of view, it would be nice to try this, see if you can bring back a breed that could possibly have some significant contribution to what's going on right now. But I think somebody's got a God complex here. Just want to see if they can do it and not think about what the consequences could be of something like this in the wild. Oh, yes, we can control it. Sure, until you can't.
Right.
What was the line about just because you could do it, you never thought about whether or not you should?
Yes.
Speaking of a movie.
Thank you, Ian Malcolm. Yes.
But there's a lot of concerns here, not just, the concerns, the immediate with the actual elephant/mammoth. Something like an artificial womb is stuff that people have been wanting to do for humans for a very long time.
I know. That's
Forget
the concern.
in vitro fertilization, where you would, do the embryonic transfer basically into a womb, into an artificial womb, and then the mother, quote unquote, the one who donated the egg, basically at this point, can go off and live her life, not have to worry about being pregnant, and this child is raised by whoever, whether by the mother later on or by the government, by whatever
or
organization.
Just coming back to pick them up after they're born. Right.
Yeah. I mean, just dystopian stories have started like this, and that's a very legitimate concern, on a matter of faith and morals. Definitely, there's a moral issue to a lot of these technologies, in vitro fertilization, the conceiving the embryo in the lab, the test tube babies, all that kind of stuff has been been argued quite strongly on moral levels. And this just takes that to another step. Oh, yeah. And if they can perfect it for the elephant, it really is not that big of a stretch to perfect it for humans.
Right.
And that's when we have some real moral issues.
I got 2 quick points. The first is at the end of the article, they talked about saving species now. I think that's where people should be really thinking and putting their energy into some of the species that we still have. Can we try to save them? So use your whatever ideas you have for something like that. And 2, don't judge me, but one of my soap opera lines right now has to do with someone who was being a surrogate for someone else, and it was all hunky-dory until, of course, in soap opera world, she got kidnapped and then put in a room for 3 weeks and bonded with the child. So now that she's given birth to the child, given the child back to the mother, she's feeling very very out of sorts and wanting, because she's bonded with this child in danger. But then they took a turn with the sperm donor is also feeling the same way. So when you play with stuff, nobody's ever shown that. They've always shown somebody's going to be a surrogate. Here's your child. Have fun. This is very different. So
gestation and pregnancy is not just about a place to hold a baby. There are intangible elements to a mother carrying that child for the child's benefit. A child who doesn't have the mother's around them, the mother's voice, there's so much that we don't know about what's going on. That's the intangible benefits of pregnancy. This is just on the scientific, physiological level. Right. Then there's the spiritual, eternal level of that loving bond that is created there. It is all kinds of bad idea.
And it's funny that, of course, the reason why the soap opera is doing it is this is something that has happened. There have been lawsuits about a surrogate mother who technically, even though she did not provide the sperm or the egg, that child's still hers.
Yes.
Right. Because she bore the child. And there have been lawsuits where the surrogate mother refused to give up the child. And of course, the egg donor mother sued.
Right. My egg. Well, my womb.
or the mothers.
Yes.
Usually it's one of those kind of cases. Right. But it's just like, yeah, this there's a lot of real moral issues here that go a lot further than these woolly mammoths that are dealing with things. Talk about things that we're dealing with right now morally in our culture. And so there's a lot of concern here with that.
And that's why I say God got it right the first time.
Right.
Funny what happens when we think we play God. We just make a mockery of it.
Yeah, we usually do it badly. So our next headline is Zillow and other tech firms are in an arms race to buy up American homes. Now, there's been a couple stories recently about these companies that are buying up and holding homes as investments. They're buying, every house for sale in a market, holding it, renting it, so that people can't buy a house, they can only rent a house. And this is a little different. Companies like Zillow and some others they're buying the houses, they're improving them a little bit, putting some money into them, and then selling them. So it sounds like house flipping. They claim it's not flipping, that they're not.
It's house flipping.
Right.
It's flipping.
They say they're making their money off of the various other financial tricks and gimmicks, but it's really kind of house flipping. So the claim is the benefit to a homeowners is, they say that these iBuyers, they call them, in exchange for the money, they offer convenience. You could quickly offer, here's a price. This is the price we're going to offer you, instead of having to show your home and negotiate. Here's the price, take it or leave it. This is what you like, and then you can pick your move out date, which is a nice deal, and then you can take that money that you have and go house hunting. Okay, so there's it provides a little more certainty, a little less concern and uncertainty. Okay, what's the cost to the homeowner, the seller? Well, the companies claim, you usually are we're paying, they lose about 1% of what they would get on the open market, whereas independent reviews say it's somewhere around 13 to 15% when you include all the costs, which includes the fee that they charge for doing it this way. So you may be going to get about 13 to 15% less than you might get on the open market.
Yeah, I was going to say 1%. That's, you figure for a $200,000 house, that's $2,000. You're not going to count that. You're not going to worry about that.
Right.
But if you're talking 13 to 15% on a $200,000 house, well, that's almost
25,000,
20 to 30.
Yeah.
30.
Yep.
Up to $30,000 off that house. Now that's taking a ding.
Right.
And I'm sure there are people who would use this if they have to move quickly. Like, say they got a job, they need to relocate, they need to, and they have disposable income to do that. But I mean, I've got a friend right now who's selling their home because they're going to move to Italy for retirement, and they're doing it themselves. And with the market the way it is right now, they'll have a buyer within a week. Well, I'm sure they will. It's just the way it is now. Zillow doing this now, it seems like it's not a helpful thing. I wouldn't think.
On the other hand, if you have a house where you have equity of 200%, which is not impossible. I mean, I have that much in my house right now.
Do too.
Losing a couple, 10 to 13% might be worth it, especially if you would need to spend money to fix up your home to really get top dollar for it anyway. So now the problem with house flipping in general, whether it's by big companies which is a problem I've run into, is often the improvements done in between are lowest possible cost, using the cheapest contractor grade materials and all this other stuff. And I've been dealing for the past dozen years with all of the cheap upgrades, all the cheap fixes that the house flipper I bought it from did, and it's just a constant problem. So house flipping in general, I think, is a problem. But the other thing that worries me is this: are we just have we just created a new way to mess up financial markets, the economy, and the housing industry or the housing market like we did in 2008? That worries me.
There's a real concern, not just with Zillow and these other online house buyers, but like real estate agents and so on that are just big real estate companies that are buying, not agents, but the companies are buying as many houses as they can, and then turning around and not even worrying about flipping them, just selling them or renting them. So now the housing market in many cities, as I understand it, is non-existent.
Yeah, and I'll tell you,
there are not houses available to buy.
And I'll
relatively
tell you,
speaking,
when one comes on the market, even though there's a 200% markup probably from when you bought it, you have to figure a couple of things. One, the person coming into your house is probably not going to, even if you've upgraded it, it's probably not going to like your choices.
Right.
So they're going to want to redo it anyway. And two, yes, you've gotten all this money for your house, but now you have to go buy a house for the same price.
Right.
And you don't know if that's going to be a fixer-upper or if it's going to, what it's going to be, or who's done anything, cosmetics to it. So it's a mess right now. But houses on my street, which are going for over $500,000, are gut jobs.
Oh yeah,
they haven't done anything since the 70s, and they're selling for that price.
I have a post World War II tract house on a slab. One of those developments that were built by the hundreds for in the 50s. Yep. And my house, it's a technically 4-bedroom, but it's really 3-bedroom, and I use this office, and it's one bathroom. It's like, I think it's listing for $400,000 plus. This is in the Boston market. Yep. I mean, it's crazy. I bought it for, that is a 100-something thousand plus from when I bought it before the big collapse in the late aughts. So it's like, it is crazy. And some of these companies in this article, both the investment style companies and these flipper companies, they're saying, yeah, we'll go into a market, we'll buy everything that's in our range, like in our. So they're not buying everything. They're not buying the real fixer-uppers. They're not buying the real high-end. They're going for the mid-market is what they said.
Right.
And they'll buy everything in the mid-market, which is really creates a problem for, they say, oh, but we're turning it around. Yeah, but you're turning it around for whom and how much more? And that's the concern.
Well, it's talking about the market. My brother, his wife lived in the Seattle area, and they bought a house, which at the time I thought they paid a lot of money, $500,000 for. It's one of those old, if you're familiar with the Sears Craftsman houses, where literally you ordered them from Sears and it came on the train, and it was modular before modular was cool. Well, it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story, not a big house, nice house. They've done some work to it and everything. They sold it for over $1 million last year.
There are some crazy markets. That's the
and part of that was because it was a corner lot, but a lot of it was because the houses just aren't available.
Right.
And so you imagine, okay, my brother and his wife, they both have good paying jobs, but really good paying jobs, obviously, if they could afford a house like that. And they turned around and bought a house, I think, a little more expensive than that, what they ended up buying. But you look at the average person, how many of the three of us, how many of us could afford $1 million house? I know I couldn't.
No,
I couldn't afford the house I live in now on my salary as a priest.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that they don't make, 6-figure incomes and have a wife that's making 6-figure incomes and be able to afford these kind of houses. And they're the ones that are having to be priced out to the, the far boonies of the suburbs and things like that.
Well, that's the thing is we're a 1-income family here, and I would have to move further away from Boston to if I sold this house. There's no way I could buy near me. I can't afford what I could afford then. And I live in a town that was at the lower end of, I would have to move further away from the city or move to another part of the country, which, given the kind of job I have, that part of it isn't bad, although all my family is here. And that's a concern. So that, there is a more than a financial concern with this. This is how do we want our society to work for people concern as well. All right, our last headline is about a change in technology. Say goodbye very soon, not tomorrow, but very soon. MasterCard announced that it will be phasing out the magnetic stripe on credit cards.
Yay!
So I already have like the Apple Card does not have a magnetic. Oh, no, it does have a magnetic stripe. That doesn't have the numbers on it. They phased out the raised numbers a few years ago, which is fine. Those are a relic from the day of the old ka-chunk ka-chunk machines. You remember those? I'm sure we all do. Those of us on the panel anyway. And they're going to get rid of the mag stripe and just move on to the chip readers future. So what do you think about this? I mean, it sounds like yes, you agree with this. Why do you think it's a improvement?
I'm very much a bigger fan. In Europe actually has gotten away from the stripe years ago.
Yep.
They went to chip and pin years ago. I wish we would actually have gone to chip and pin instead of just chip and signature like it is still.
Right.
But at least it's it's better. It's a lot of these chips. They also have the contactless. It's the same chip. So you can either stick it in, like you're at the gas station, you can either stick it in the machine and let it read off the chip, or you can just tap the little reader on the pump and you go. And it's just so much more convenient. It's so much easier. Yeah, you gotta, one habit I've gotten into is every time I pull out a credit card that's got the chip, go ahead and wipe the little contact thing with your thumb real quick.
Right.
Just to get a little bit, that little dirt or whatever that happened to be on there. And I rarely have problems with it. So I'm all for getting rid of the swiper. And one big concern with the swipe is it's a lot easier to steal a swipe than it is a chip read.
Yes. That's the thing, is that the data on the magnetic stripe is very often not encoded. So anyone can just steal the data.
Yeah, I cannot figure out which one of my cards I can actually tap or I actually have to swipe.
Yeah.
And it gets annoying. And I have most of them on my Apple Pay. So that's also annoying because it's like, okay, do you take the watch? Don't take the watch? Do I need the card? Can we just go to one thing and don't walk away with my card? I don't like you walking away with my card.
Like in Europe, they bring a reader to the table and you can do it right there. That's the way it should be.
And I've seen places that do, especially with COVID, where they started doing that, where they would they hold the reader out to you and you stick it in.
Yeah. I used like you, Joanne. I use the Apple Pay for nearly everything these days. There are a few places left where I still have to. I think Home Depot or Lowe's. I still have to use a card.
Yeah.
Get with it, guys. Now, don't rejoice too quickly. The magnetic stripe will start to disappear in 2024 on MasterCard. In regions such as Europe, where chip cards are already widely used, banks in the U.S. will no longer be required to issue chip cards with a magnetic stripe starting in 2027. By 2029, no new MasterCard credit or debit cards will be issued with a magnetic stripe. So,
So I may not see this in my lifetime.
Oh, Joanne, God forbid. No. We want to.
But I'll be retired by the time it happens.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's probably true. So, farewell eventually to the magnetic stripe. There's one lesson that is that old technology likes to hang on tooth and nail.
It does.
It doesn't like to let go.
Well, it is interesting that they are hanging on with it for as long as they are. And I have a feeling, I hate to say it, is because of older generations that have gotten used to the swipe and they struggle with the chip. And I guess I don't see it, but it's something that's just like, okay, you stick the card in the slot.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Right, and that should be easier for folks. But when they don't, our chip reader isn't working, you're going to have to swipe. You're sitting there, you swipe. No, it didn't work. Could you try it again? Okay, I'm wasting time here.
Yeah, right.
Sitting here trying to get this card because the back of my card, because I've had it for 4 years, is disintegrating.
Yeah.
So please take me out of my misery.
Right. Exactly. All right, that's enough of our headlines. So let's move on to our picks of the week. And Father Cory, what's your pick this week?
So, of course, as we're talking about the Apple Watch, talking about the health issues, well, that's something I have a love-hate relationship with. I love to hate health issues, as far as weight is concerned. But I have been, it's one thing. I've gained a lot of weight. I lost weight in the past. I gained a lot of weight again. Well, as part of my insurance, our new insurance program, because of course every year it changes because there's different companies offering different deals. They sent one of the smart scales.
Oh, wow.
It's the Withings Body Smart Weight and BMI Wi-Fi digital scale. And so this is a scale that it connects via Wi-Fi to their app and to their website. They've got what they call it, Health Smart or something like that.
Yep.
Healthmate.
That's right, Healthmate. Sorry.
Anyways, Health Smart and Healthmate. So anyways, they've got all these different apps and everything, but you step on the scale, it reads the scale. It, of course, like a lot of the scales now, it'll tell you here's how much you weighed before and here's how much you've lost or gained. This one's kind of cool. It'll show you what the weather is outside. Mm-hmm. So you get up in the morning, you check the scale. You can also see what the weather is. It'll tell you your BMI index because you tell it how tall you are. So it gives you that, which BMI is scale for understanding your weight, but it is an indicator. It does help to understand, where you're at. It's not perfect, but it does help. But the nice thing is then you can go to their website, you can go to the app, and you can see your trends. You can see what's been going on, and then it also will work with other apps. It'll work with Google Fit. I don't know if Apple will allow them because Apple doesn't like it. Does. Okay, good.
Yeah,
so
works,
you can use it with the
Apple
Health
app.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So it goes right into that. Weight Watchers, the Weight Watchers app supports it. A lot of the running apps, a lot of, so there's
a couple others like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can take and when you weigh in, it logs right into those apps. So it's there. So it's great. If you are doing Weight Watchers, you got to do your weekly weigh-ins. There it goes. So it's, they're great devices, and they've gone down a lot. I remember when they first came out, they were well over $100. The one that they sent me right now on Amazon is $60. So they've gone down quite a bit. That's the point now where I think a lot of people can consider it, disposable income of, you can go get the $10 cheap scale from Walmart that literally all it does is weigh you on a digital display and record what your last weight was. But this works better, and it looks better too. Some of those scales look bad.
Yeah.
But
I've had one of these for a long time, years, like 5-6 years, maybe more than that even. And if you have a family and you have people of varying weights, it can distinguish between the people. So it knows my weight. I obviously weigh a lot more than my wife does. It distinguishes among even my kids who are pretty close in age. It can distinguish among them pretty well. And if it gets a weight that it doesn't know what to do with, it'll put it in the app and say, who was this? And then you can assign it.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's good for families too. So definitely, it's a great app. I step on it every morning and I see my trends and I'm going, no more after dinner snacking for you, fat boy.
And by the way, that's why I do it every week because
I know. I have my routine and I just step on it every morning and it
I've been
works.
looking for a new scale, so you just might have sold me on this one.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
It really is nice.
Yeah. And the price is good. It's much less than I paid, I think, for mine years ago. Excellent. Joanne, what's your pick?
Well, I probably have the most expensive one this week, but it is the new Mac Mini M1. I was able to purchase one for my new job, and I have to say, I really like it. It is as comparable. This is, by the way, just to frame this, I usually use my own computers at my job, but I know that is not really good for diocesan policy. You're not supposed to be using personal computers. So, but I can never get, I know, but you can never get one. Usually when you go, they give you a Windows, running Windows 8 or something. And it's like, I can't.
And it was the Walmart special 2 years ago, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Or somebody said, well, I just needed something, but I'm not using it now, so you can have it. But I was lucky enough to be able to purchase this. Now, what I did for them, though, was I did purchase a refurbished one. And people forget that. They go to the Apple site, they see, this is going to be $6.99, $8.99. They have refurbished models.
Right.
Now, buyer beware. The first one I got, the Bluetooth didn't work.
Oh, that's interesting. That's rare, though.
That is very rare.
Yeah.
And they also sent me the wrong configuration.
Huh.
So it had to be a bad day at the Apple warehouse.
Yeah.
But I called them, immediately went back, immediately got the new one. And what I had gotten was, of course, they're all 8-core now, but I got the 16 in the RAM, only because I'm trying to future-proof things a little bit. But I do a lot of graphics and video stuff for work as well. It's really fast. I would say it is as fast, if not a little faster, than my MacBook Pro 16-inch i7.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
with the 6 cores.
By all reports, and any M1 is going to be faster than any Intel Mac, apart from the Mac Pro.
So what I was looking for was something comparable to what I have at home, and this fit the bill. Now, it only has a few ports on the back, which is the killer. It has the Thunder 2 USB-Cs, Ethernet, HDMI, and 2 USB-As. I do have a switch. I do have a little box so I can put more in. But I will tell you this much. If you have a Samsung monitor, okay, because these things are just the box, they're not the monitors.
Yep.
If you have a Samsung monitor, don't put it through anything. Put it directly into the computer HDMI port. It flickers. And see, it wasn't the computer, because when I had it home, I was put it on my HP monitor and it worked just fine. But the minute I put on the Samsung, it was like Flicker City.
Yeah. So that's the thing with these 2-port Macs is you need a Thunderbolt dock or hub, and
that's what I have.
We should talk about that sometime about those as a separate thing, because those are very useful. I have one even on my iMac here.
Oh, and these are the ones that plug in.
Yeah. Right.
For power, not just for, not just the ones you can get from Hyper.
Right.
So I'm telling you, it's going to do the job. And I got it at the refurbished price of $759.
Yeah, about $140 off. So that's a pretty good discount.
Yeah.
Now, when you go there, sometimes you're not going to find what you want in the refurb store.
Right.
It sort of depends on what's there. But when they sell refurbs, I always tell people, like, they're supposed to, and barring your experience, Joanne, but what they're supposed to do is they put them through all of the same checks that they do brand new. In fact, in some ways, a refurb can be better, because they put them through checks that new ones don't get off the line. They get these back, and then they go, by like with a toothbrush through it, and make sure it's top notch.
And you can get Apple Care for it.
Yes.
So now I have a machine that's going, if anything happens to it for the next 3 years, Apple has to fix it.
Well, and one thing too is when we say refurb, this doesn't mean that this machine broke.
Yeah.
No.
This could be somebody ordered a machine and the wrong one came in, like you were talking about the first one you got, and so they can't sell it new.
Nope.
Right. Or
if someone used it for a month and returned it. Well, they can't sell it new, so they put it through the refurb program. Even if literally all it is they wipe the hard drive, they do the tests, they re-image the hard drive, and done.
Yep.
And be careful when you're in the refurbished Mac side, because you're looking for the silver Mac Minis.
Right.
Not the gray ones. The gray ones are Intel's.
Make sure it says M1 and not Intel, because
exactly.
And that's I'm actually kind of surprised the M1s are starting to show up, but I suppose it's been a year now.
Yep.
That's why I waited.
I tell you, I'm ready to upgrade my iMac, and if they don't come out with iMac soon, I may get one of these M1 Mac Minis.
But you'll need a dock. You'll definitely need a dock, Dom, because of what you do.
And that's why
extra.
That's why I'm being careful. I want to make sure that I get the right thing and that I don't have to upgrade. Like the Mac I'm using now is 4 years old, and I don't want to upgrade again for another 4 years. So I want to make sure I get the latest and greatest to keep us going. So my pick of the week is kind of goes along with the Apple announcements for the phones today. It's the Anker Power Core 3 10K wireless battery charger. I kind of hesitated there because it kind of does a little more. So it's basically a battery pack, just like you're used to. You can plug it in. It charges via USB-C. It's got USB ports. You can put a lightning cable on it. But it's also a Qi charger and a Qi charger and MagSafe charger. So it's got a Qi pad on top. You can put any Qi compatible phone or other device on it. And then if you have an iPhone 12 or an iPhone 13, it has the MagSafe, so you can magnetically attach it to the top, so it doesn't, because that's the thing with a portable battery, is it'll slide around like in your pocket or whatever as it's charging. This keeps it in place. The other thing that it does, which I kind of like, is it can do pass-through charging. So you can keep this on your desk plugged in to a USB port, or a wall wart or whatever, and use this as your desk charger for your phone. So you can put your phone right on it while it's sitting on the desk, and that's where you're charging your phone. So it's a nice battery. It has It's 10K, 10,000 milliamp hour, which is pretty good. That'll charge your phone. Like an iPhone will charge it a couple times before it needs to be recharged. And what else? I think that's about it. I mean, it's a really nice phone, a nice battery pack for $50. And it's Anker, which is a good brand, and I always recommend. Hey folks, Dom Bettinelli here with a note for you after we've done recording. I made a mistake in my pick of the week, in my description of it anyway. It does not support MagSafe, the Anker Power Core 3 10K wireless. It supports Qi charging, but not the MagSafe specific to Apple iPhones. That is a separate battery pack that I had been considering, and I conflated the two in my mind when I was putting my pick of the week together. So the pick of the week, which is still a very good pick of the week and definitely recommend it still, the PowerCore 3 10K wireless. That supports Qi charging and the pass-through charging, and that's a great battery. If you want something that supports MagSafe for iPhone 12 or 13, that would be the Anker PowerCore Magnetic 5K. That's a different battery pack. So I'll put the links to both picks, both battery packs, in the show notes, and you can choose the one that fits for you. All right, and back to the show.
Dom, will it do a watch?
No, that's a different pick of the week that's going to be coming up. I might do next week. Right. The trick with the watch is it needs trickle charging. That's something I always run into when I'm camping and I need to charge my watch overnight, and it will never charge on anything I've tried it on. So I contacted Anker, and they let me know I need a battery that supports trickle charging, and that'll be my pick probably next week. So make sure to check that out. Thanks for asking. That's a good question. So that should do it for us this time. We'd love to hear from you on anything we've talked about, the Apple event or any of our headlines, or if you have questions, comments, suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. So you can do that by contacting us at sqpn.com/technology, or the SQPN Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, or send an email to technology@sqpn.com. You can find links from our discussion and our picks of the week in our show notes at sqpn.com. Be sure to like each episode of Secrets of Tech on Facebook, retweet us at Twitter, where we're at SQPN, and leave comments in all those places. Until next time, Father Cory Stika, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Well, thank you, Dom.
And Joanne Mercier, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest.